I want to tell you a very interesting story about how I once searched for a hotel in Vancouver. It was the middle of summer, and as you probably know, Vancouver in summer is not cheap. Some hotels rooms go up to $700 per night. I checked several hotels where I had stayed before, and all of them were in a range of $300–400, not exactly inspired. So I opened Expedia and started looking for something more affordable, and suddenly among all those expensive options I see one for $120. I thought, wow, that's amazing. Available, good location, great price. Without thinking too much, I booked it. The name was Panda Hotel. I arrived in Vancouver, took a taxi, and the driver dropped me in front of pretty nice looking building. It looked quite presentable, not a lot of parking, but since I didn't have a car, that didn't bother me at all. I walked in. The reception area was modern and pleasant. A very polite woman greeted me at the desk and said I had a reservation and was ready to check in. She smiled and said, "Of course, but you'll need to put your bag in a locker." I thought, why? Is it a high crime area? She said, no, it's just that you won't have space for your suitcase inside. Inside where? Then I noticed a long wall filled with small compartments like oversized mailboxes. She handed me a key fob with the number 42 and said, "That's your room." She walked me to the locker number 42 and asked me to open it. Inside were sleepers. She said, "Please put this on and leave your shoes inside." That was the moment when I realized something was slightly different from what I expected. It wasn't a hotel, it was a hostel. I had simply skipped the letter S while reading. My room turned out to be sleeping pod, like a little capsule. They were arranged in levels, number 41 on the bottom and number 42 on top. Mine was upstairs. Inside the pod, there was a small fan, the kind that remind you on old car dashboard, two lights setting and a charging port. That was it. You crawl inside, put down a curtains like a sunshades, and that becomes your private world. I stood there thinking, oh my goodness, what have I done? But the money was already paid. The reception kindly told me that about 300 meters away there was a large plaza with shops and huge food court. It was summer, beautiful weather, so I decided to go for a walk. I bought some Thai rice for dinner, very tasty by the way, and slowly my mood improved. Maybe this wouldn't be an adventure instead of disaster. I came back, changed and went to shower. To my surprise, everything was very clean. Towels were provided, the showers were shared, but each one was separate, closed cabin. Same with the toilets, private stalls, neat and well maintained, very civilized. There was one strict rule. After 10 p.m. absolute silence, no phone calls, no loud alarms, nothing. If you need to wake up, it has to be a very gentle alarm. I went back to my little pod, closed the curtain and lay down. At first I thought there was no way I'm going to sleep in this capsule. But it was warm, the bedding was clean, the air was fine. I turned the fan on low and I slept like a baby. Seriously, it was so comfortable and so quiet, no noise, no disturbances, nothing. In the morning I showered again, brushed my teeth and left feeling surprisingly satisfied. I even wrote them a very good review. If you are not overly attached to the luxury and large spaces, this was an exceptionally clean, quiet and well-organized hostel. Very respectful atmosphere, very decent people, everything secure and thoughtfully arranged. And honestly, I'm glad I made that mistake. Sometimes what looked like a disaster turned into a wonderful little life lesson and a very funny story to tell later. That was my Vancouver adventure. Thank you.